destroyed because of this freak. I won't allow it! These babies just saved this lame fest party!
What's going on? You are listening to This Week in Geek.net. I'm your host, Mike the Birdman, on this exceptionally lovely spring day. But I'm not alone as I decide to walk through the wonderful world of podcast land with my compatriot, my brother, my best friend from the lovely city of Kitchener, Ontario, Canada.
Alex, the producer.
It is a lovely day. I was out today rolling around in my wheelchair. It's just a gorgeous damn day today. Like, it's nice, man. Warm.
Agreed. Like, we've had hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. Yesterday was like 14 Celsius with wind, and it was a little chilly. You needed a jacket. Today and tomorrow is going to be 18, but without humidity.
Yeah.
And then it's going to drop right down to 12, and we're going to have like actual spring weather for a while. Because last year this time, we had to have the air conditioners in.
Yeah, me and my wife Blair, we haven't had a chance to dig out the air conditioners yet. My guess is probably in the next week or two, which would be nice so I can start preparing for garage sale season. I have to start saving up for school, which means I got to sell off some stuff. So if you're looking for Marvel Legends, guys, hit me up. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting that closet cleaned out and sold and whatnot, so that'll be something. So here on the show, we often talk about what we've been up to for the last week. Last week was kind of slow for me. I am working on Mouse PI for review. You'll probably hear that review next week. I've just been busy with a couple of other things. I started messing around. I was having a bit of a low, we'll say, and I started messing around with the Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. I reviewed this game a couple of weeks ago here on the show, and I can't say with 100% certainty that I am the reason this was implemented, but I would wonder. I asked for more customizable and accessibility settings. Like, you know what? Not everyone has to play a roguelike. You do need to have a certain mindset. Sometimes just that RNG, it's too hard for people. Sometimes I just want to play the game in, I don't want to use the word easy mode, but I don't want to worry about combat every 10 friggin' minutes.
Well, and people think if you're not within the community that uses a lot of accessibility settings, you generally think of it in a few different camps. You might think, this is the majority of the Forge settings for visual. That was generally what it had been previously when you thought of accessibility. Mm-hmm. But it's also, tactile. It can be things like changing the control inputs to make it easier. But accessibility can literally also be like, hey,
here's a story mode.
Yeah, and people used to call it casual or easy. In reality, a lot of it now is, hey, would you like to focus more on the narrative immersion or the combat and like spreadsheet immersion when it comes to that sort of stuff?
Yeah, like for me, playing through this game, I got a chance to see a side of Star Trek Voyager I'd never seen before. And about halfway through my run, I was like, you know what? I'm going to play this again at some point. So I'm just going to make every high-risk decision that I possibly can. And so, I got a really cool ending.
You played the whole game like it was the year of hell?
Yeah, well, it was crazy. Like, I don't want to give too much away, but I formed an alliance and it changed how the Delta Quadrant and the Alpha Quadrant coexist in the future. In 2385, I was like, yo, that is sick. Like, that would change how Picard played out. That would change how Discovery played out. And that's really cool. And for some of the recruitable heroes that you can get during the campaign, obviously you get the main Voyager crew.
Can I take a wild guess?
Who?
I don't remember the name of the aliens, but they were fairly early on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
There was a group of aliens that had the technology to like make them get significantly closer to home and all this, but they had their own Prime Directive-y thing where they weren't allowed to share it.
You do run into them.
And you're like in there, I believe it was like they were starting to have good communications and have relations, and then one of the crew members was like, fuck it, and then stole the technology, and they basically got banished from ever communicating with them again.
Yeah, there is something like that. You also run into the planet. It's not a full mission, but you can go by the planet where the Doctor lives for a couple of years as like a person on their planet. And I don't know. I'm honestly, you can tell the people who made it, it was Daedric and Game Excite. There's a lot of love in that game. I was honestly pleasantly surprised by it. And the fact that I don't play roguelikes and, resource management games, because honestly, I'm terrible at them.
You aren't a spreadsheet or a live, die, repeat person, and I'm not usually either. Yeah,
no, like honestly, some of the best games I've played this year were TMNT Splintered Fate, which Ken recommended to me and we got for Holiday Gift Guide last year, and Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. And that is not what I expected to say in 2026, that I'm actually having fun with roguelites. I also bought Hades 1 and 2. I haven't had a chance to dig into those, but if Ken likes them, I'll give them a whirl.
I've been playing a few, like I'm generally in the same boat as you. I will try to give things a fair shake. I can say this now, like, because we got it right before it came out. I was sent a copy of Sorrows to play, and that is one of them live, die, repeat things, right? And I find them not just too hard. I don't find myself interested. I actually don't get the feeling of fulfillment that many and most players get from overcoming, like dying, and then overcoming. I actually don't. I never get the feeling of I accomplished it. I only get the frustration. And I realize now, as like approaching middle age, that's never going to change with who I am at this point. I don't disparage people for like, if that's what you get, if that's your endorphin rush, great. I am much more of I don't want it to be like so easy that I'm just like press A to continue. I like to have the experience where I feel immersed, but I never feel like, oh my God, I have to start over. I don't like that feeling. And some of the best ones are getting to the point where they're letting you, accessibility wise, shape it in such a way that it curves it a little more to my style of playing while still keeping the integrity of the artistic intent intact. And I think we're going to see more things like that sort of going that way. And I hear that TMNT game was a little more, like that. It wasn't just so punishing because again, it was made for kids, right? And it sounds like you've got me interested in the Star Trek game.
Yeah, and it's something that I know you weren't too excited for initially, but I can also say it's a really fun game. I actually sent the game. I bought a copy for my friend Nick. And he really had a fun time with it because his brother Mike's a pretty big Voyager fan. And they're like, this is really fun, Mike. Thank you. I was like, yeah, like honestly, I love supporting topics like this. Obviously, working on Star Trek as a freelancer certainly gave me a wider appreciation for the IP. And it was really fun. Other than that, I've been playing Overwatch. I'm still maining Farah and Jetpack Cat, which is fun as hell. Not as much as there was like a huge Overwatch collegiate tournament this weekend. I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of that, but I got the Twitch drops. So that's all that matters. And what else did I play this weekend? I started playing more of the older Mortal Kombat games because next week Mortal Kombat 2 comes out. So I'm really looking forward to that. Got my advanced tickets. And then finally...
Me too. You see it on Thursday or Friday?
Oh, Thursday, of course. Now, that's if everything lines up the way that I want. So next week, I'm not going to be here on the show. We're going to record the show a couple days early. I'm in Toronto for a radio conference for the National Campus Radio Association. And this year's, one of the big themes this year is podcasting. and actually got asked by a group related to my work with Damien over at CFRU, and we're going to be talking about disability on one of our shows because, you know, I'm obviously an amputee and bipolar, so I've got mental and physical disabilities, and Damien classifies themselves as neurodivergent. So we got asked by this group if we would contribute something to the show, and they want to hear our first episode. I have to record something for them after the show today, but yeah, that'll be really cool. As I get more details about this, I'll definitely be sure to share. You know, me and Damien have a couple more spell books to record this weekend, so they are released next week. It's just realized I'm going to have to edit those before I leave on Sunday morning. So yeah, sorry to drop that on your lap, Alex. I just remember like, oh crap, I got to do that. Well, crap.
It's one of the few shows that I don't edit and don't know how to edit for what you need for the requirements. So that's not my problem. It's I'll as long as they're available on our server, I'll have them ready to go for syndication after they go on the air live.
I was like, whoops. Oh, well, I'll figure it out. I always do.
It'll work out.
Exactly. Or I'll, you know, go crazy. Anyway, what have you been up to this last week?
It was my brother's birthday, so he came by and we hung out and watched the little TV, played a little games, and then on the weekend we did like the actual family get together where we ordered some Chinese food because he was like, I want Chinese food, and we're like, okay. But I also what did I go see? I went and saw Hoppers in theaters, which was not the movie I thought it was. See, my brain has been so out of kids movies lately that I thought that was the basketball animal movie, but that's Goat.
Yeah, which
I was like, because I had to go get blood work done, and I can say this, like 99% good. Just one or two things that should be addressed with like basically increasing water intake. That's basically it. But yeah, like blood sugar's good, A1C good, all my vitamins. Oh, vitamin D is terrible, but that's, you know, live in Canada, also have had surgery that does malabsorptive, so I'm probably going to need a prescription for vitamin D because I don't want to pay like $25 a month for that when my disability should be covering that. So I'll talk to my doctor about that, but I had to go get blood work done, and it's right next to the movie theater. So I was like, I'm going to go see something short, and I went and saw Hoppers, and as the movie starts, I went, oh, this is the much better movie than I thought it was. I forgot that movie was existing. It's basically Avatar. People hop brains into animals and environmental studies. Even though it's an American movie, it very much made me think of like David Suzuki with like the nature of things is sort of the message it had. Good movie. Saw that in theaters. Plan to be going to see MK with my brother. He's like, I gotta go see it. We want to see it in IMAX, and that's like part of his birthday present. I'm like, okay, it's coming out on the 7th. Well, there's probably going to be a transit strike here before that, and I usually rely on that to get to the movies. So he's like, I don't care. I'll ask for permission. I'll get off work a half hour early. Come pick you up. We're seeing Mortal Kombat, and I'm like, okay, we shall do that.
I'm hoping against hope because I come home from my radio conference on that day. I'm going to tell my cab driver, if you get between me and Johnny Cage, I'm throwing you out the goddamn door.
well, I'm like, how do you want to see it? He goes, big screen, best one. I'm like, all right, well, the IMAX is playing it at such and such a time. When you want to go Friday? He goes, no, let's go Thursday. There won't be as many kids there that are off school. He goes, we're going at dinner time because, you know, it's like the right time to see that kind of a movie, right? So we're doing that. And then he also sent me a message. He's like, I saw the trailer for Street Fighter. We're seeing that in September. And I'm like, yes, of course we are. And I looked at it and I'm like, that looks terrible, but the fun kind of terrible. And he's like, they both look like the fun kind of terrible. Anyway, outside of that, I've been playing games. I played Pragmata on the last week. I was able to get that out just in time for review deadline last week. I've got another game that I played to completion. I don't think I can say what it is yet, but you'll hear about that in the upcoming weeks on the show. I also just started, as I mentioned, Saros. We did get technically an early review copy, but it is for the 3-day early access that people get when they like pre-order it. So you're going to see stuff online now. Knowing how not good at these kind of games than I am, but I do my best to give it a fair shake. You know, the review will not be obviously part of this show. It's gonna maybe be next week. It might have to be longer depending on how long it takes me to beat, or at least get like far enough into it to be fair and impartial on it, right? Beyond that, I've had a few movies come in, so I'm slowly watching movies. A lot of cool, weird indie stuff has been sent in, so keep an eye out for that on the show over the next few weeks.
I got sent a movie from Warner Brothers. They sent me it's an older movie from the 90s. It's Barry Levinson, I want to say. It's a movie that came out in 96, 97 called Sleepers.
I had that on Sleepers or Sneakers, because there's two different
Sleepers.
ones.
Sleepers is
Okay.
Kevin Bacon is an abusive prison guard with Brad Pitt. It's this amazingly stacked cast. It's Robert De Niro. It's
I had
really
that on
good.
I had that on VHS years ago. So yes, I do know that now. I'm remembering the cover for it and everything.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I honestly did not I went in completely blind, knowing nothing. Like, because to give you a little bit of behind the scenes baseball, sometimes we'll get pitch requests from these companies, like, "Hey, we have this movie coming out in a couple of weeks. What do you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. We need stuff for the show." And that's how I saw Sleepers. That's how I saw One Battle After Another. I didn't think I would like that movie until I could sit down and watch it in chunks, and I really did like it. And now there's a special edition coming out because it won stuff at the Oscars, but we're not going to be able to get access to that one, unfortunately. But yeah, Sleepers, you'll probably hear that review from me probably this coming week.
And
but yeah,
here's just a couple of the weird ones or three of the weird ones that I was set weird but interesting for a review that we've probably never heard of. Vampire Time Travelers, the Visual Vengeance Collector's Edition. I was sent that, so I'll be checking that out. Desperate Teenage Love Dolls. I swear they're not pornos. I promise you, Michael. They're
you should
they're
see my
just
face right now. You should see-
they're just B-movie sleaze, right?
Yeah.
Saurians, which obviously is like a dinosaur-y type thing.
Mhm.
Blood Bitch Baby. Yes.
I have no dignified response to that.
I will have to send you pictures of the covers because they look hilarious. I'm just hoping that these aren't cases of covers are amazing, movies terrible. I'm hoping that cover is amazing and movies are amazingly terrible.
We shall have to find out. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about here on the show this week. Alex is going to be giving his thoughts from one of, I think, something from Kensington, I want to say.
They interestingly, we haven't reviewed a whole ton of Kensington locks, which is what they were known for in the, back in the day in the 90s before they expanded. And they've got like some brand new designs coming out, and they said, "Hey, Alex, we haven't sent you a lock in like forever. Would you like to check out one of our new ones that's for laptops and basically anything that has a Kensington lock?" If you have a modern tech device that isn't like a phone, if it's like a laptop or a tablet, or it could be a computer, it could be a monitor. A lot of times you'll see on the side of them, they have that little, it looks like a little spacer hole, and it'll have and it'll say, "Oh, that's for the Kensington lock." And most people are like, "What's that for?" That's literally for these locks. So the idea would be, "Hey, I'm going to go take my laptop to a coffee shop to work. Oh, I got to go to the bathroom." You don't want to unhook your laptop, but you don't want to leave your stuff unattended. You hook that up, wrap it around the table, clink, go to your bathroom, do your business, come back, nobody's stolen it. That sort of stuff.
Very cool. We're also going to have a review that I did on Many Worlds Tavern, a coffee and tea service that tends to cater to the TTRPG community. And then finally, we're going to check out something from our friends at Hasbro as I revisit a classic from 1984 with modern engineering. That's right, I'm talking about the leader of the Autobots, Optimus Prime, but not as you remember. So guys, we're going to take a break here on This Week in Geek, and I invite you to pull up a cup of coffee with me as we have a cup of coffee, maybe some tea, with Many Worlds Tavern. We'll be back, guys, right after this, only on thisweekingeek.net. Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here. I'm here to talk to you about something interesting I've had a chance to connect with someone online. I'm talking about the site ManyWorldsTavern.com. I got in touch with these people a little while ago, and I met a lovely person named Lily. And what is this? Well, this is a subscription coffee and tea service that, well, caters to role players. And I think this is actually kind of cool. They have like these fantasy-themed coffees and teas. The most recent one that I had a chance to partake in was something called Treasured Realm. I also had this really awesome tea called Fabled Foliage. And they also sent me some really nice dice. They actually sent me a set of dice called Hornet Hold, which are these wonderful orange dice. And orange is one of my favorite colors, and very much in line with my indigenous identity. So I don't know whether Lily knew that when she sent them, but I appreciate it nonetheless. So what is this? Well, it's a coffee and tea subscription service that you can either do a one-time buy, or you can sign up for a recurring subscription. You can also get some extra content as well that is compatible with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. You can also get some stickers, some playmats, some dice. I think it's actually kind of a cool service. I'm very happy to see these little enthusiast and hobbyist sites come up into something really interesting and find a way to blend it with the tabletop hobby. Like, I can think of many times when I've been playing D&D with my friends Paul, Nick, Sam, and Tom. When we play on Monday nights, it's always nice to have that capacity to have a nice cup of coffee, or if you've had a really long day, a really nice mild tea. The coffee I had, which was the Treasured Realm this month, was something I wasn't totally used to. It's kind of a slightly rich flavor. I use a lot of syrups in my coffees because I'm a basic bitch, but I really enjoyed it. In fact, my wife, Blair, is actually able to turn it into a fantastic iced coffee. Really, really enjoyed that. And then the tea, Fabled Foliage. I don't know how else I would describe that other than really mellow, really down to earth with a little bit of honey. What I used to do is I would take this down to my writing space where I typically write my stories for Weekly Spooky, or when I'm working on stuff for Star Trek as part of my freelance TTRPG writing. And I felt it really kind of hit the right creative juices to make the words come out of my fingertips just a little bit faster. Now, the price of this is going to be basically the make it or break it point for most people. And currently, this retails for about $40 or $26 for some of the other ones. You can find other ones kinda go around there as well for the coffee and tea. There's an adventure collection as well, which is like more of their kind of dice sets. So prices are going to vary here. And I would say this is relatively affordable. I have seen other subscription coffee services and tea services as well, and they fall along the line of this. What really sets Many World Taverns apart, in my opinion, it's the customer service. The fact that these people were so willing to work with me to figure out shipping issues. If I had any concerns or questions, they were literally right there answering immediately. I genuinely really enjoy them. And just the fact that I think the dice are of really high quality as well. Plus, hey, again, who doesn't love a really good cup of coffee? So if you really want to check these guys out, I thoroughly invite you to go to ManyWorldsTavern.com. Give these guys a chance, see what you think. And like I said, highly recommend their tea. I think it's some of the smoothest I've ever had and definitely beats the Walmart crap that I typically get. So once again, you should check out ManyWorldsTavern.com. Tell them Mike sent you, and big thanks to Lily for helping us put this together. Now, back to the show.
The Prime Minister of Sweden visited Washington today, and my tiny little nipples went to France.
Gossip, rumors, panic in the streets. We're lucky.
This Week in Geek
News.
Welcome back to thisweekingeek.net. That was a delicious cup of coffee brought to you by Many Worlds Tavern. Definitely check those guys out online. But it's now time to put down the cup of coffee onto the news desk of the Nerd News Network, only on thisweekingeek.net. Now, this first story is a little bit old, but I do want to talk about it because I'm really excited to see something like this actually come to fruition. And this story comes courtesy of TV News Check, but I have seen this around a couple of other outlets. And Hasbro Entertainment and Get After It Media debut Hasbro Legends broadcast channel. Hasbro Entertainment and Get After It Media have launched Hasbro Legends, a linear channel built around Hasbro's franchise library that will debut across Get After It Media's national broadcast footprint, reaching more than 70 million, U.S. homes, with additional distribution planned on streaming platforms, including the company's forthcoming Heartland Plus service. The channel will draw upon Hasbro's intellectual property across television and film, focusing initially on classic series tied to heritage brands, including G.I. Joe, Gem and the Holograms, My Little Pony, Power Rangers, Transformers. Distribution will span over-the-air broadcast and free ad-supported streaming television series as part of a converged linear digital strategy. Quote, "This is what happens when my inner kid fan takes over, and I love it," said Otto Pardon, co-president and COO of Get After It Media. Quote, we are beyond honored and thrilled to team up with Hasbro. I grew up with G.I. Joe and Power Rangers. Now we get to bring these legendary brands to broadcast television at scale. Quote, we're not just launching a channel, we're building the next generation of monetization. God, I hate that word. Said Joel Workman, co-president and CEO of Get After It Media. This is a omni-channel exchange that allows buyers to transact linear and CTV together. We're on the cutting edge of automating planning proposals and buying across multiple stations, bringing real efficiency and the ease of execution to the market. Our focus is on meeting audiences where they are and how they consume content today, said Yannick Farrow, SVP Content Distribution and Digital at Hasbro Entertainment. With Hasbro Legends, we're bringing our brands to broadcast at scale, reaching new audiences, creating new opportunities for partners across linear and digital platforms. Then it just kind of goes into more corporate bullshit speak. I think this is actually kind of cool. I do wonder whatever happened to the original Hasbro channel. I think it was called The Hub, I want to say, at one point.
That was a cable channel. Now, so this is going to be like a TV channel, because they're a lot of times they're using linear now as a linear streaming channel.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm excited for this. Like, I think it's pretty cool, but at the same time,
did it say in there that I was trying to think? I don't think I heard them say specifically that it's going to be a cable channel.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, because like
I think what they're doing, maybe somebody will pick it up. It sounds like they're doing what Paramount did with Pluto, where it's like, I think Roku has it too, but Pluto is the most famous one. Like, that's the one thing they're making money from, and it's been mostly with boomers, because it's like it'll be like you go into Pluto and it's set up to look like a cable, like the Rogers cable menu, like the channel selector. And it'll be like, here's like the Roseanne channel, and it's all Roseanne. Here's the Star Trek channel, and it's just Star Trek, and it's like 24/7 running. It runs like a regular thing. It's not on demand. It's just you jump in and it's in whatever episode it's in. That's what they call a linear feed, right? And then they'll have like a couple channels where it's just a feed that is random stuff, and it's sort of like what you see on like Teletoon Retro or something like that. If that's what they're doing, that might work better than on cable, because parents aren't, like, people our age are not getting cable for their little kids to watch. But if it's free with ad supported stuff, and it's an app, or it pops up, like if you could get Pluto and then there's another channel in there that's that, or they start putting it on like every streaming service you could think of, and maybe YouTube. Like, if everywhere has just that feed running all the time, that could do quite well with kids. If a parent could go, here it is, boop, it's on, and just go, yeah, and you don't have to pay anything, I think that would be quite successful.
Like, I really hope we get this in Canada in some capacity.
Yeah.
Because that is my jam. And I was always so happy with the fact that Pluto has such a wide variety of programming.
It really, like, it's not just, I know it's Paramount, but it's other stuff too. Like, they're getting other companies' stuff to put on there, and it's basically becoming a replacement for over the air, as long as you have data.
Yeah, like, it's really cool. Like again, like, I'm thrilled with it.
The thing I'm very big time sad about, and I've been big time sad for a few years now, is that they haven't found a way to bring MeTV to Canada.
Yeah, because that's where you can get like Svengoolie and a lot of
That's what I
classic
want.
programming. Yeah.
And to be honest, like some of the stuff with Svengoolie, you know, it's over the air, it's public, and all the movies they cover are generally public domain movies. So because of that, there was a service, people were doing it where they were taping it like old school tape trading, and they were putting it up on torrent sites so that people in Canada and outside of the States could watch the Svengoolie episodes. And that was popular, but then that sort of died out. People weren't doing it as much. There was talk of MeTV moving. And like, if you live near the border, you can pick it up over the air. It's just, I live in a basement apartment, like of a high, medium rise building. We don't have like, I'd have to put like a 20-foot antenna on the very top of the building to maybe pick up MeTV. Whereas, you know, if we lived closer to like Lake Erie, we could probably pick it up. Because not just MeTV, there's MeTV, there's like Comet TV, I think is the other one that is old shows, but there's a MeTV cartoon channel. And
Yeah,
and they've licensed like a bunch of content libraries to run 24/7 like this. Now, it wouldn't be the same shows, it would be different, but imagine if you could get MeTV, the cartoon one, and this in Canada. It would almost take away the sting of, you know, the Canadian channels being shut down, how we don't have Teletoon anymore, and we don't have, you know, retro, we don't have any of those things anymore, right? And it's just Cartoon Network, which is not even showing Canadian. Like, if we could get like a channel that had a linear feed of all the old YTV and TVO Kids and all those Canadian shows, plus those two, you know, you could live in nostalgia all day long.
Yeah, like I'm honestly really hoping this is super successful. Like I really hope there's Canadian branding, or if there's the option to purchase a stream. I mean, honestly, I'll do it.
If anybody's listening that has connections to anybody in any of the media companies, one of the 3 media companies that seem to run this country, can you at least get Svengoolie on something in Canada?
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, like, even, like, to put Svengoolie up on something like a free service, like Tubi or Roku or...
yeah. Especially since, like, there are contemporaries like that on YouTube that run shows that are hosts like that. I think out of California is Creature Features. And they have a few hosts, and it's the same thing. My mom's watching. Like, what are you watching? And they have like the horror hosts that dress up and stuff. And I was like, are they getting away? Like, how are they doing it? And then I looked up, they're like on like public access TV or on whatever channels in California, just like Svengoolie is out here. And it's usually either public domain stuff, or they're paying the license for, like, they'll get a Hammer horror movie and it will have a broadcast license, and they put it on YouTube, and it's not taken, like, it's all licensed, so it can be done, and it works in Canada. Like, it's not geo-locked. So I'm like, there are a few of these horror hosting it. It's just that he's the OG, right? He's the last of the OG guys left.
Yeah.
And it's like, I would like to have his stuff pop up here, and then other programming from that they have, and the same goes for this. So I'm hoping that this is something that isn't just going to be geo-locked to the States.
Yeah, like, this is something... There's such an opportunity, but I guess we'll kind of wait and see what happens. Which brings us to my next story. This one comes courtesy of Comic Book Resources, or CBR. And this is Hulu's Far Cry showrunner reveals which game he'll adapt. Noah Hawley has finally addressed which Far Cry game his upcoming Hulu series adaptation will be adapting. And his answer may surprise and divide fans. That's because the showrunner confirmed he won't be adapting any particular video game at all. Hawley's approach is to take a cue from the Far Cry games themselves, which are installments in a anthology series, by telling a new story that still speaks to the same themes as the game series. It's similar to his approach to Fargo and to the X-Men in Legion. Quote, one thing that really attracted me to the Far Cry franchise is that it is an anthology, and every time they release a new game, it is a totally different story. Hawley told Deadline in a recent interview, "That's how I approached Fargo, and it was an exciting idea that we could build on an anthology game adaptation where each season is a different story about civilized people thrown into situations where they have to become increasingly uncivilized." Quote, I'm not specifically adapting any of the games that they've put out. I'm saying as much as I did when the Coens or X-Men, he created the FX show Legion, also did Alien. Let me have a dialogue with this franchise because this is what I think Far Cry's story is. We can have a larger conversation about the strengths and weaknesses of adapting video games, specifically because the games are built in a way that doesn't make for the best drama. He concluded by saying, when you play a video game, you only really move forward through the gameplay section, and then you have the cutscenes that you can skip. So where you have to go to adapt these games is you have to be aware of the human drama, kind of irreverent to the storyline. That is death for a show. Holly is handling Hulu's Far Cry adaptation, but he's also pulling double duty since he's also running the FX Alien Earth series, which he revealed how he's trying to be smart about pulling double duty as a showrunner. Quote, there will be a moment where I am running two shows at the same time, so you make choices. He said, I built them both out of London at Pinewood, and there's a secondary location that will serve both shows. I've tried to be smart about it. Have most of Alien written, and we're halfway through the other show. Once we have the scripts, it's less my job and more of someone else's. Hulu's Far Cry does not have a release date. I don't disagree with him doing it as an anthology. I think that's really smart, but I think he's missing an opportunity to adapt. Honestly, if I was going to be the showrunner, let's say I am, I would have adapted Far Cry 3 first because people know Boss and everything, and Michael Mando definitely would come back for that. And I would do second season adapting Far Cry 6 with Giancarlo Esposito.
I was actually going to say the same thing. I think the correct way to go to appease the fans is 3. Then 6, because 6 will get the wide audience.
Yeah, and then maybe you could do maybe 4, maybe 5.
It's 3, 6, 4, and then you could 1 and 2.
There's nothing to them. Here's a tropical island, kill things. It's Ubisoft map clearing.
Yeah, especially since like 1 and 2, I guess you could say were adapted by the Uwe Boll movie.
Now, here's a pitch that I think would have been better. I like Noah Hawley's approach to storytelling. And if he wants to do an anthology series, okay. I have a much better suggestion for you. However, you have to follow the game's lore, but you can tell whatever story you want. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Are you going to do the one that's the one from like caveman times?
No. Actually, Primal might be really interesting, but only animated.
Are you going to Blood Dragon?
Blood Dragon would only work as an animated show, and it would have to be like 4 episodes of like 20 minutes each.
But
no.
Prime that okay. Could you imagine? Everybody's thinking like the second season is going to be Giancarlo, and it's caveman.
Primal. Honestly, that would be a really good mini event movie, 1 hour special, and it's Primal. That would actually be kind of sick. No, I would suggest another video game franchise for him. I would give him Assassin's Creed.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's more expensive. That's probably why they're holding
he's
out.
got Hulu money, and they put a lot of money into Alien. Like,
I think,
like honestly, who gives a fuck about Far Cry? To be honest with you, who cares?
I mean,
because 6 sold well, but there's no conversation about it.
I think it's because it's easy to adapt, and it's with an anthology, the hook will be each season is hooked around an amazing villain.
Yeah. So you've got Voss in number 3. You got I can't remember the bad guy's name. Fucking Gus Fring in Far Cry 6.
Well, and you have okay. If you do adapt 4, you have to find a way as like an Easter egg.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe when the whole show is over, like the season's over, an Easter egg is you put, or even if it's like on the home video or streaming, you have the alternate ending where like the alternate first episode, and it's 20 minutes of you just sitting in a chair, and then he gets up and helps you, and it shows the credits, and it's the end.
See, that would be a fun Easter egg at the end of the show, like at the end of that season. Do that as
Yeah.
your post-credit stinger.
Yeah, it's instead of the bloopers, it shows the credits coming up for the season, and it just goes, all right, whoop, take one, whatever, and it shows it has a time lapse of the person looking at their watch, and 20 minutes go by, and then he walks out, and that's the end.
Yeah, like I guess Far Cry's easier to adapt because it doesn't have any main setting other than weird weapons. You fight a militarized regime of some type.
It doesn't require major costuming. That's
Yeah.
why I think it's easier to do.
Than Assassin's Creed, yeah.
Yeah, you could almost do. See, and it also doesn't require, like, I was like, oh, what about all the Tom Clancy? It doesn't require the Tom Clancy licensing or
which is weird.
IP.
Did you know they're doing another Jack Ryan movie on Amazon in like a month?
Yeah,
Ghost War, which again looks kind of cool. I haven't
seen any of those ones. I haven't seen any of that shit.
I like John Krasinski as Jack Ryan. The problem is, though, I like certain parts of the Tom Clancy universe. I want my Domingo Chavez. I want my John Clark. I want my Rainbow Six movie you've been promising me since 1996.
Yeah.
Fuck you! God damn it!
Everybody, like, whenever somebody's like, oh, with the Jack Ryan and all that, they're like, oh, who was the best Jack Ryan? And it's like, the movie adaptations have all been so different.
Yeah, because you've got Harrison Ford, Ben Affleck,
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin.
People forget about Alec Baldwin, but people forget that The Hunt for Red October is a Jack Ryan movie.
Yeah, it's wild, and it's like,
And then you got, what was it, Sum of All Fears?
Yep, Sum of All Fears.
And so it's like, and then there was
there was one more, maybe.
Oh, Netflix. It was with Captain Kirk.
Shatner?
No. The was it Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit? Was that?
That's right. I forgot about Shadow.
The one with Kevin Costner as evil boss.
Right, I completely forgot about that. And
yeah,
it's so unfortunate because, like, you look at all these adaptations that we see. We've got Fallout's fantastic. The Last of Us is fantastic. The Witcher, more or less, was fantastic. Castlevania, fantastic. Why Far Cry? I mean, it's like that Simpsons meme. Why now?
I guarantee you, it's because it's cheap and they know they can, for this, at least for one season, they can get the actor who did the mocap and it was based on, he will do it again himself.
Oh yeah, and
isn't he going to be in something big this year?
I think so.
I think I saw him pop up in some trailer for something big. I forget his name.
Yeah,
but he's gonna be in something big. I'll look it up off air, or somebody will mention it to us. But I was gonna say, as far as other, like, if we're talking Ubisoft stuff, and if they were gonna, if the licensing wasn't gonna be an issue at this point, why haven't they just made a Splinter Cell show?
Well, there was that thing on Netflix, wasn't there? Like an
animated. But I mean, if you're gonna do a live action, where you can hang it, and I mean, if they anthology, it wouldn't be an anthology because it would be about Fisher. But if you were gonna do, Ubisoft, you're right. Like Assassin's Creed is a good anthology, but
it's a lot of setup, though.
It would cost so much between each season to make all the different sets. Like they would want something that wouldn't require nearly as many weird sets or costume changes, that are dramatically different every time. Also, there isn't any like there's not a lot of special effects shots that need to be done for Far Cry.
Mm-hmm. Maybe on how much you take the vehicle and weapon mayhem. Maybe there'd be like some weird explosions, but with Assassin's Creed, you just have to have the hidden blade. That's literally the show's built around that.
As far as an anthology goes, the other one that they could do would be maybe.
Why is there never been a Rabid show? Yeah, or Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon would work because it can be an anthology every time, but at that point, it would basically be that Star, was it Stars or whatever FX show, Strike Back was basically that. It was where it was the same cast every time, but it was like each season was like a different terrorist thing that they were doing.
Or
But
it was basically like Combat or China Beach, just with the Tom Clancy name on it.
Yeah, you know what? This would be cool, but I would think another similar franchise that would work that's not from them is why don't they just go to Square Enix? Because Square Enix still owns the rights to this. It's one of the only properties they have that was from the Western developers that hasn't been sold to whomever. Why don't they do Just Cause?
I want to say there was talk about that at some point.
Because
I mean,
like the only thing with that is a grappling hook.
yeah, and you just need to have a guy who talks tough.
You'd have to have a guy who talks tough, runs around, does shit, and then the anthology is, you're going each season's a different mission, and the only gadget you really need is he would just have to have some gadget that helps him climb shit.
Yeah. I mean, another franchise that, again, I think the adaptation's going to go well is the God of War show, and that's Amazon.
The first production photos look a little rough, but
we all thought that about Fallout too, and that
I know that's
exceeded. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's wild. Right?
We have to wait till it's in motion, and there had been a lot of claims that photo had been doctored with AI, and it's like, oh, maybe don't do that if that's the case.
I mean, I'm a little nervous about the Mass Effect show, but considering how much they wanted wide appeal on Fallout, and it worked, so even if the first season of Mass Effect's a little bit slow, I know season 2 is going to be awesome.
Just don't be as bad as like Halo, like just or the Twisted Metal show. I watched 10 minutes of the first episode and I noped right out, unfortunately.
It's weird. I've heard people say it gets significantly better. I haven't tried Twisted Metal yet. I may do that as like a summer watch for like funsies. Yeah. Halo, the problem is when you try to stray too far from the established canon, you played catch up in season 2, and by then the audience had left you. So it's hard to say at the very least.
The most potential, actually, speaking of Square Enix, is they're adapting Life is Strange.
See, that's going to be fucking awesome because literally it's all character driven.
It's character driven with a little time travel wimey stuff. So, you add yourself in a little bit of rewinding effect. These are things that have been easily done on television, believably, for like 25 years.
So it's like the X-Files or Supernatural or Smallville.
Or a little bit of like the Dead Zone. You touch somebody, you see a vision, and then you sort of rewind time to fix it. Those things have been done. Think like X-Files episodes like Red Rum. There's a few X-Files time travel-y ones, or like Cause and Effect in Star Trek. Like there's a lot of that can be done, and also Supernatural generally works well. All you have to do is film the show. They're going to film the show, I guarantee, in like Alberta or something, or BC, and it's going to pretend to be Oregon, or it's going to pretend to be Maine, or they're like, I don't know if they're going to keep the same settings, but it's going to be that. Those kind of shows work. I do get worried when it's a game that is like either big sci-fi or big action, and that's why they're keeping Far Cry the way it is. But keeping it as an anthology is interesting in that I think the first season will be based on the game pretty close. Don't be surprised if they base each season off of another game but make massive changes.
Yeah,
after that.
I hope it's successful. We'll have to wait and see. So hopefully we'll hear news about Far Cry coming up in the future. And our last story this week, Alex found this one, but I'm very interested to see where this could go. Atari acquires emulation studio Implicit Conversions. Atari has acquired emulation studio Implicit Conversions for an undisclosed amount. Implicit Conversions specializes in porting classic games to modern consoles using proprietary emulation technology, enabling titles to be brought to platforms regardless of the availability of the source code. The studio notes in a blog post that it has worked with Atari over the last year through preservation firm Digital Eclipse on the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, Rayman, and more titles to be announced. Now, if only they could have fixed the fucking input lag that was there for 6 months. Anyway, moving on. Implicit Conversions co-founders Bill Litschauer and Robin Lavier have assumed new roles with Litschauer as head of operations and Lavier as the studio head. As part of the agreement, implicit conversions will also be providing additional support to Atari in quote various capacities. Implicit conversions ability to work with 32-bit era games using their proprietary syrup engine complements our existing expertise with 8-bit and 16-bit games, said Atari CEO Wade Rosen. Quote, alongside with the Bake Sale engine from Digital Eclipse and the Kex engine by Night Dive, we now have an enviable source of proprietary tools and more engineering talent that will enable us to continue to expand our capabilities across our own catalogs as well as the back catalog of our IP partners. Lavallee added implicit conversions and Atari and their amazing studios have a shared passion for retro games and a shared belief that accessibility is the cornerstone of preservation. When you combine our large portfolio of owned IP and our strong relationship with major IP holders, we have a lot of opportunity in front of us. We look forward to working with even more owners of classic IP to fully take advantage of these exciting technologies. Atari acquired Quake developer Night Dive Studios for $10 million in March 2023, making it a wholly owned subsidiary. Through the following October, Atari acquired Digital Eclipse for $20 million. The studio is best known for remastering retro games such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection. So I've got some thoughts on this. I played a lot of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, and it was laggy as fuck when it came out. It has gotten better.
Was it on every console laggy?
Yes.
Or is it even for single player?
Yes, even for single player offline. Now, part of the problem is...
I thought that was Digital Eclipse that did that.
Yeah, so when the game got ported to the Switch, yes, it's on the key card. The problem is it's the shitty broken version that's missing a bunch of content. So that's awesome that it's on the card. I appreciate that. The problem is the day one patch that came out when the game came out like last October, I want to say, was significantly updated. The lag was still present in some versions. There were still some bugs, but the Switch version got kind of hamstrung by that. Now it has gotten better in recent times. The lag is a little bit better than what it used to be. Like you wouldn't want to be playing these at tournaments. I'll say that much, which is really unfortunate because that was my bar. Like if you could play these at tournaments, fucking awesome. Yet when you and I reviewed the Cowabunga collection, it seemed fine to me. I've heard there's been problems with it, but I've never encountered any.
We initially played it on PS5 and didn't have any trouble.
Yeah, so I don't know what people are talking about because I own it on multiple consoles. I own it on PlayStation 5. I own it on the Switch.
I'm wondering if it was... And we played it co-op, so...
Yeah, and it played fine. At least there's nothing I could tell. And I've played all these games on their original hardware. I've played emulated copies.
I'll say that, and the issues have been with Digital Eclipse. And also, Digital Eclipse, when I keep praising them, the Atari collection is great. The gold box games that they've done in that gold box series, they're great. But I also sat back and realized none of those were online multiplayer games. They were all the single player and also specifically consoles and PCs that were like the ones that they had done for like the Jeff Minter collection and a couple others were all 8-bit computers. Stuff that, is really, really well like emulated or ported very easily using like modern assembly tools and everything, right? So I get that. But they also did the new Tetris collection, and I have that too, and that's perfectly fine. So it's been, I think, a struggle when they've had to handle things that were either maybe not commodity level arcade games, maybe had custom boards. It seems to be their 16 and 32-bit stuff have trouble.
Yeah, like there's certain games that just seem weird picture me, like the Disney Afternoon collection. Okay, fine. I feel like that's been released like 7 times now, but now you get bonkers.
And I recently got the digital copy of that for the Switch 2 where they added a couple extra games. Perfectly fine. But also it's had enough time it's had years to gestate now, right? So yeah,
and now we have like the Rayman 30th anniversary collection.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to review that, but I'm assuming it was okay. But I'll say this, this company that they acquired just now, it didn't say it in there. They're the company that whisper, secret. They're the ones that have been doing maybe not every, but almost every single PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PSP game for the PSN network.
Mm-hmm. Now,
and specifically, people were bringing up like, is this company any good? Because they also do it for other companies. Like they're hired as contract workers, so you don't necessarily know it's them. But they're the ones that are adding trophies to those old games on the PSN. But they did the Tekken 3 port onto there, and that has been, I believe, notable for having almost zero lag, and they implemented a rollback into the online play. So I feel like Atari has acquired them because their 32-bit emulator for PS1 era is leagues better than what Digital Eclipse and is using, and even than what Night Dive, the other studio that they own, has been using for their PC stuff. So I think they're acquiring them for their technical know-how, and there had been rumors that they were working on a PS2 emulator that would be able to port PS2 games to other platforms, not just in the PlayStation sphere. And they had said that they were thinking about working on PS3 emulation.
I mean, honestly, if you want to print money, because the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, to my knowledge, sold tremendously well.
Yeah.
And do not be surprised when the movie comes out next week, some kind of a Mortal Kombat announcement comes down the pipeline.
And don't be surprised if by the holiday season again it sells another 1 million copies.
Yeah,
even though it's had some issues because it be fixed. I have my big brain conspiracy theory with this is that Atari secured another license to do another Mortal Kombat package, and they panicked because they knew Digital Eclipse didn't have the tool set to do PS2 games.
Yeah, because like you look at that's Mortal Kombat, Deadly Alliance, that's Deception, that's Mortal Kombat Armageddon, Shaolin Monks,
and the Dreamcast ports of things too.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat Gold, which they said they wouldn't do, they will. And honestly,
they said they wouldn't do it. They said they wouldn't do it because they couldn't with their current engine that they were using.
Yeah, like honestly, if you could bundle those two games, and if you then told me in another year you'll get Mortal Kombat 9 without the exclusive characters, I can live without Kratos, I can live without Freddy, and if we could get complete versions or whatever of Mortal Kombat 9 / Mortal Kombat,
everything
Mortal Kombat X, like everything up to 1 is what I would want.
And that is something that, from what we've seen, implicit conversion is able to do.
Yeah, because like, do you remember years ago when I said on this show, if we ever get the Marvel versus Capcom, if we get every Capcom CPS2 game, I would pay $100 for it, and then we finally got it, and I only had to pay $60.
And then like a few months later, we got an announcement that they were covering basically almost all the other fighters that they didn't do for another $60.
Yeah, like I think they're only missing like Red Earth and the weird Red Earth? The weird 3D Street. No, wait, yeah, that was in one of the other collections. You're right.
It was in the random fighters. They are missing the stuff that Eureka made for them, which is the EX series.
Yep.
They're missing the EX series.
Mega Man the Power Fighters? No, that's on something else. I know you can buy the Power Fighters. I think it's a Limited Run Games does it or something.
Maybe, but again, they're missing only a handful. I think they have most of the stuff. Because did they do all the Darkstalkers with that? I think that was in the Red Earth with Red Earth and that.
Yep.
I believe they're missing. Oh, they're missing the Saturn games. Do you remember that they did a Final Fight 3D fighter?
Yep.
That was
Streetwise or something.
That was not good. It's before Streetwise.
Oh,
it is not good, but it's fun. It's not good, but it's fun. I just keep saying that over and over again. They're missing stuff from the PS1 and PS2 exclusive era. And from the Saturn. Saturn was not an easy game thing to emulate. They're missing that stuff, and they're missing. I think you're right. I think it's like they're missing maybe like 5 games total, maybe that, and maybe a few variations of things that we didn't get, that they might still do an oddball collection. Like they could be like the Marvel, or not Marvel, the Capcom, Capcom fighting Odyssey, oddity collection or something. They could call it whatever.
If they put out a Capcom CPS2 collection or something, just call it. Honestly, there's one thing that I'm gonna get.
They're missing Tatsunoko as well, which who knows if that's ever going to get re-released.
I fucking hope so. Like that, honestly, yeah, I'd pay serious money for that, because that was a fun fighting game, and the characters were so different from anything we'd seen really before.
I guess they could work out a deal with them, and maybe have to work out a deal with Namco, and they could do cross Tekken, but who knows?
Like, I mean, if I were to see another collection of IP-based games, so like we've got Disney, we got Ninja Turtles. There's more Ninja Turtles games that still haven't been ported, which is cool. I would love to see. I don't know how you would do this, though. I've got ideas, but I don't know how. I want an Aliens game collection, and you lead it with Alien versus Predator, which is Rebellion Studios. You include the old PC games, a couple of the DOS games, Alien 3 for NES and Super Nintendo.
The Jaguar game is easily emulated now. It took a while, but it's there.
The Jaguar game I'd port, and maybe
the Jaguar, wasn't there? I don't
maybe
know if there's one on Lynx.
Alien 3 The Gun, I would love to port.
The arcade side-scrolling one is good.
Yep, that would love to see, because that's never been freed.
Was there a really good one on the DS?
Yes, Aliens Infestation, which, like a fucking idiot, I sold because I'm dumb.
Well, I don't think we knew it was going to be worth any money, because that at every single grocery store in Ontario. Now, I don't know if this was Canada-wide or the statewide. In Ontario, for like 5 years, they had a bargain bin at every one of the major like superstores, Loblaws, there, Sobeys, all of them had them, where it would be a bin of just random games. And for $10, they had, like, literally, I swear it was like thousands of copies of that game and X-Men, Destiny, the last thing that Silicon Knights put out. Yeah, it's like they dumped them there, and they were there. I swear it was like 5 years, and it was like $9.88 forever. And I never picked it up because I was like, oh, maybe that game must be shit. And then it turns out that game was a good game, and then it became a rare game.
Yeah, like, it's kind of incredible. Like, we used to have some people who worked on the show, and they're really good at it. And I was like, fuck, why did I sell this? But, hindsight's 50-50.
And if they're going to re-release it, they should re-release, was it Colonial Marines? Was that
I would love to see a remastered and fixed Colonial Marines.
Well, I was going to say, there people are saying that it on consoles, if you have a hacked console, or like if you have like a soft modded console, or even like on a PC, it's a simple script. It's literally it was a problem with like a config file.
Yep, and it is one line of code. And literally, I have my PC version hacked, so it works.
Yeah, it's like, it's literally, it was quite literally a dumb mistake that they just never were able to fix, because it would cost them like $10,000 to do a patch, and they had already written off the game at that point. And it's like, if they were to relicense it and do it, you could literally, it is a line or two of code, and it makes the game infinitely like finished.
Yeah, like, there's so much stuff that could be done. I don't know why it's not. I mean, hell, if you wanted to make some money, like, you and I like the service Good Old Games, or GOG.
Yeah.
And between them and Amazon, I think every original Gold Box Dungeons and Dragons game is now available. I don't know how you translate. I don't know how you translate that to modern hardware. There's probably a way.
I had thought about something that had bothered me for a long time now. I have really wanted to play Ultima, and I own the Ultima games. I own like the first 4 or 5 of them on GOG, and they'll work through DOSBox, but they are keyboard and mouse, and they're very esoteric and archaic, and I there's a charm to them. And I know that originally there was an issue because like Sierra had bought Origin Systems, but Richard Garriott's still around. I'm wondering like why nobody has gone with all these, like, it's the granddaddy, that and Wizardry has had a remake. The original Wizardry had like a modern remake.
Bard's Tale?
And Bard's Tale they've had modern remakes where there's like brand new graphics, or even modes where it's like high end graphics that you can switch on the fly. Like you press a button, and it looks like the old graphics that are like text based, or you press a button, it goes back. But it feels modern when you play it in the modern mode, and it has like quality of life upgrades, and you could use a keyboard and mouse or a controller. That stuff. Why has nobody done it with that? Like there hasn't been a remake of any of the Ultima games in literally 30 years, since they had the like DOS CD versions or DOS remakes in the 90s, and those are the VGA versions, and those are what was turned into the GOG versions. They're like the granddaddies. They sold millions of copies. Why hasn't somebody gone and go, hey, let's take Ultima 1 and take what was there, maybe do some enhancements to some of the quality of life stuff, because that's fairly easy, but the bones are great, and just do it in like a modern HD 2D style, and then throw that in there. I feel like that the barrier for a lot of these older games is it's either that it's ASCII art, or that it's so primitive, like it predates the NES, that it's just too much, for the kids to really take in. But like Wizardry sold well, the new version, and I think that was developed by somebody. I'll pull it up right now, because Wizardry is one of those series where it was an American series, but then became super popular in Japan for many, many, many iterations. And then I think we got the first new version of it. Let me see, Wizardry.
Well, years ago, fairly recently, I think.
Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. That original one was developed by the guy that ended up making Animego, the anime distributor. But yeah, so it came out, and Wizardry and Ultima were like the same year, like 80 or 81. And then there was the remake, was only a few years ago, I believe. And that was remake. Let me see here. It is called, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. It's just the exact same name, and that was developed by Digital Eclipse. So it was considered good. It's all 3D, like a modern game. It came out in 2024, sold well, it's done well, and you could switch it to like old graphics or new graphic. That's the cool thing. That's what we need, man.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I know good stuff can happen with emulation, and I know a lot of it's legalese and figuring out, well, who owns this IP, who owns this, and blah, blah, blah. Honestly, if you people figure it out, you're going to make the money that you want. And if you put as much care as the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection had,
yes,
especially with that documentary.
I think what's interesting here is this is cementing my thoughts that I mentioned a few years ago. I think Atari is pivoting themselves into being the retro company.
And they should. They totally should.
Yeah. Like their legacy had been tarnished for years, and they were split into multiple divisions, and there was like a potentially money laundering scheme by opening up hotels that were funded by crypto. All that stuff is done. New CEO came in a few years ago. He's like, we're erasing that. We're going back to where we started. And that's when they started putting out like the Atari 2600 Plus and all those retro consoles. And then last year they bought Intellivision when Tommy Tallarico's Amico has basically fallen apart. They bought the IP, bought all the games, put out the Intellivision Sprint, which I purchased, which is a pretty sweet recreation of the Intellivision. So Atari owns Intellivision and Atari. Don't be surprised if they go after the ColecoVision brand from Coleco. Don't be surprised if they go after like Fairchild Channel F and the Vectrix. They might start buying up every single small game library from previous stuff. Everything that predates 1983 Nintendo and Sega. They basically are up for grabs, because if it came out back then, they're basically dead, but they're they could be under that nostalgia umbrella. They're going to buy up all these companies. They've now own Night Dive, which does all the really good ports of PC games to modern consoles. Like they did all the Star Wars, like Dark Forces and all that sort of stuff. They're doing those really good ports for PC stuff. Digital Eclipse had been doing all these like retro collections and stuff, right? Well, now they purchased the other company that has been doing all the other major, Western releases for retro games onto other packages. So they have 3 studios that do the vast majority of retro game ports. The only 2 other companies that do a lot of these are Aspire, which granted are like the really low quality ones. They're pretty much, they put out the ones that have all the bugs that people complain about, right? And they're still owned technically by Embracer Group, but who knows for how long. They don't really have, I wouldn't say they're experts at anything. They kind of muddle their way along. Whenever a new game gets ported and it gets announced, people are like, oh, it's them. Unfortunately, it's one of those situations. Mm-hmm. And the only other really good studio that does the ports is M2 out of Japan. And they basically partner with Sega, and M2 isn't probably going to be bought right away because M2 is the one that does all of the Nintendo Switch Online games. So, well, we'll see what happens. But like, this is pretty interesting, dude. Atari is slowly gobbling up all these little things, and they're not spending a ton of money to buy these companies, but you're going to start seeing the Atari name on a lot more games that you would be surprised to be seeing them on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so hopefully, like I said, we'll see some more emulation stuff. I'm looking forward to more collections. I think this is a very good development. Just make sure you're putting the money into it to make sure it's done well.
One last thought with it, is there a franchise that hadn't been ported, or you didn't, maybe from like the PS1, PS2 era, that you'd like to see them do now that they would have the ability to do the 32-bit games?
Siphon Filter or SOCOM.
Oh,
bring those games forward.
Yeah, those would be pretty cool.
Or
I was thinking, maybe more along the lines of I was going to say Spyro, not Spyro, because that'll be handled by Activision, right?
Yeah.
But who knows? They might license it out. But I'm thinking like,
didn't Spyro have a collection a couple years ago?
Yeah, they did. But I'm thinking like there's the PS2 era. There was like another trilogy that came out.
Right.
But I'm thinking, we going back, like if they're already doing weird stuff, like they've done the Bubsy collections, right? They've done
who the
all
fuck
these things.
asked for that?
I know. It would be more interesting at this point because obviously, and television's gone, but the other company is I forget what's it called? Not Interplay. It might be Interplay. It might be one of those companies. Why don't they jump in and get like all the Earthworm Jim games or something like that, because with all 3 of these companies that they own, they now have the ability between the talent pools with all of them to do all the weird systems, man. Like maybe we'll get a 3DO copy of something, like between these people, they can basically do every console now.
I would love to see, because I know the 3DO port of Super Street Fighter 2 was unique because it was almost arcade perfect. I mean, we have the arcade perfect version now.
And Road Rash, that version of Road Rash is considered the best ever made.
Yeah.
Like it's weird to say that, but there are like 2 or 3 games on the 3DO where it is to this day the definitive version. That the Need for Speed, the very first Need for Speed,
Carmageddon, maybe.
There's a few on there, man, but Road Rash is the one.
Yeah, so like I said, we got a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to, but we're going to take a break here on the show. We're going to take a listen to one of Alex's reviews. We're going to listen to his review of one of the newest Kensington locks. And when we come back, we're going to hit you with the weird news, only on thisweekingeek.net.
Alex, the producer, just with a very brief quickie review. Our friends over at Kensington sent their next gen, I guess, new Universal 3-in-1 2.0 combination laptop lock. We've covered some of their little accessories like this before in the past. Obviously, this is what they were known for. This was their bread and butter way back in the day before expanding into a whole bunch of other really high quality ventures in the personal and business computing spaces. But it's been a while since we checked out one of their locks. And now this one is, there's not much more to say other than it's a really high-end quality lock. And basically, it's a single tip lock. It fits standard, nano, and wedge-shaped security slots. And it doesn't have any need to change the lock tip heads, which you do actually have to do sometimes. So this is, something where, for our listeners, it's worth having if you're like a student or a business and you're taking your laptop device from place to place to place. Maybe you travel for business and you're going to different random offices and you want to secure it down when you're going for a meeting and you have to leave it unattended, or if you're in like a quad or a place where you can lock it up, while you're working, especially if you're doing like temporary workspaces. Birdman has done this before, where he will sometimes rent a workspace to work and write at when he's on the go somewhere. There's offices where you can do that, and you just want to make sure that your devices are secure when you're going for lunch or a bathroom break or something like that. So it's something to consider there. And then obviously, if you're somebody who isn't in an office that is purchasing this for asset management and control, to make sure that you're able to like keep your office stuff from not leaving the office, or retail spaces and that sort of stuff. It's also one-handed locking, and it doesn't block any ports. It's designed so that when it's locked up, it won't block like any ports to the left or right of it, so you still have access to everything that you're going to have there. Other devices, if they block things, you're forced to use like a port replicator somewhere else, or just scratch your head and go, well, I guess I don't use those. I can say it's obviously built with the same high-end quality that they're known for and they've always been known for. And it comes with a 6-foot carbon steel cable, so good luck trying to yank that away without people noticing, that's for sure. There's a resettable 4-digit dial with the register and retrieve, which is like their copyrighted locking mechanism. But it's pretty straightforward and easy to use. 5-year warranty. So basically, there's not going to be any problems with that. To be honest, it's going to last longer than that. But the fact that it comes with a 5-year warranty is always good. Very straightforward. If you're looking, this is the kind of thing, if you're in the market for looking for a lock, you're like, which one should I get? This is definitely one to consider. I'll put a link in the description so you can check it out on their website. It gives a little more information as to what it looks like, and you can sort of seek it out pretty much anywhere where Kensington products are sold.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do!
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
I could definitely tell you found this story.
Yes, sir. I have found all the stories. Yes, it's the weird news time. That's how we're going to open this.
Yep, that's right, guys.
You're welcome. I found all 3 this time. Enjoy.
Yes, so as you can guess, my name is Mike, otherwise known as the Birdman, joined by Alex, the producer, and it is time to dive down this bizarre rabbit hole that Alex has curated for us this week. And according to WCPO.com, new bill seeks to make Loveland Frogman's Ohio state a cryptid. A new bill introduced to the Ohio House on April 13th wants to make the Loveland Frogman Ohio's official state cryptid. This very real bill is being sponsored by Ohio Representative Tristan Rader, who represents District 13 in Cleveland, and Representative Gene Schmidt, who represents District 62 in Loveland. Quote, "This bill is about showcasing our community," said Radar in a press release. The Loveland Frog is uniquely Ohio. It reflects the stories we tell, the places we're proud of, and the creativity that makes our state worth celebrating. The bill notes that Loveland's beloved legend has inspired books, documentaries, local festivals, artwork, merchandise, and local tourism, all contributing to the local economy. The legend of the Loveland Frogman started with the story that on 2 different nights in March of 1972, 2 different police officers spotted the Frogman. The creature went unseen for decades until 2016, when a couple playing Pokemon Go said they spotted something weird between Loveland, Madeira Road, and Lake Isabella. Around a day after WCPO's story about Jacobs was published, we got a phone call from a man who claimed to have been one of the original police officers who first saw the cryptid. Mark Matthews told us the creature was not a frog at all. Matthew recovered the creature's body and put it in his trunk to show Shocky. He said Shocky said it was the creature he sees too. It was a large iguana, about 3 to 3.5 feet long. Matthew said the animal was missing its tail, which is why he didn't immediately recognize it. Matthew said he figured the iguana had been someone's pet that either got loose or was released when it grew too large. He also theorized that the cold-blooded animal had been living near the pipes that released water that was used for cooling the ovens in a boot factory as a way to stay warm in the cold March weather. I was actually going to ask, this is Ohio, so this is Dave and Enrique's home state.
When I saw this, I was thinking about our buddies our
Yeah.
homies, our homies. I guess are they like our pen pal homie podcast homies at this point?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty
I,
accurate.
I was thinking about them, and then I was also thinking, isn't there one of them stupid? I'm now an old man, but you understand the young people lingo. Isn't that part of the skibbity toilet bullshit?
Yeah, kind of. Like it's so weird. Like certain states have like there's the Jersey Devil. Vermont has I can't remember the name of its monster, but I know it's in Lake Ogopogo. There,
It would be we have Ogopogo, right? So
I know there's a monster in one of the lakes in Vermont. I know West Virginia has the Mothman. New Mexico and Arizona have the Chupacabra. There's a couple
in Ontario. Is Ogopogo here, or is that?
I think that's further to the east. I want to say here we have several actually.
Yeah.
I know this is an old piece of Twig lore.
Like obviously Bigfoot is Northwest Territories and BC and maybe Alberta.
There have been sightings here in Ontario. We are more aligned with the Dog Man of all things, and that is a cryptid that has been sighted from northern Michigan.
Or am I allowed to say what our cryptid is? Because if I say it, it might be bad.
The Skinwalker or the Wendigo?
Yes.
Yeah, the Skinwalker. That's more southern U.S. But
I just don't want to. I don't want to bring that bad juju here by saying the name.
Yeah, it's a unique cryptid. I know there was a conversation.
I am not a fan of shadow people.
No, they're more of a. It's very strange. Me and Aaron we've been playing this show for years. I actually have the intro made up for it somewhere still. We're going to talk about cryptids maybe during the summer, because I'm a huge fan of this weird type of shit, and I've never seen a Dog Man, but I have seen bizarre stuff. I don't know if you call it skinwalkers, but I will tell this story.
Is the deer lady? Is that an Ontario thing?
That I'm not 100% sure of, to be quite honest with you.
Because there's a few. There's like a lot. Basically, a lot of ours are First Nations, Indigenous people. Like it's the legends that passed on it. We don't have a lot. Like when the settlers came here, outside of Bigfoot, there isn't really a quote unquote white man cryptid.
I don't know. Maybe the skunk ape from Florida. Maybe.
No, I mean in Canada specifically.
In Canada, yeah. Like I know one of the weirdest things that ever happened to me, and I don't know what this means. So this is old Twig lore, because I told this story on a Nerd to the Third podcast years ago. But I remember I was probably about 14, maybe 15, and I would stay up all night listening to Art Bell Coast to Coast AM. But I remember one night I turned off my radio, and it's summertime. I'm gonna guess late July, maybe early August. And I lived in a very sleepy town of about 500 people, mostly retirees. So the human ear can tell the difference between a radio, like a voice broadcast over a speaker, and a real speaking voice. It's something your ear just instinctively knows. So I remember one night I turned off my radio. I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I could hear voices outside. And I'm thinking, well, I'm the only one awake on my fucking block. I guarantee you of this. So I peek out my window and I'm looking around and I don't see anything, but I can still hear voices. And I'm thinking, that's not a fucking radio. Like, what the fuck are they saying? And it's not enough where I can hear the conversation, but I know it's happening. And my grandparents at this time were in their late 70s, so they're old as shit, and there ain't no way they're awake, and they don't leave on. My mom had a TV in her room, but she never used it for anything but Nintendo. My dad's TV didn't work. Trust, weird story. And I had a TV in my room, but it was off, and the TV downstairs had been off for hours. So I'm thinking, what the fuck is this? And I always had a weird feeling like there was something in the bushes behind my house. And I always had this irrational fear of, like, if you come home late at night, you don't go on either side of the house. You make a beeline for the front door. You don't stop. You put your key in the lock and you get inside. Don't look behind you. And whenever I'd stay up late watching television at night, we used to have these big bay windows in the front of my house. And I would always make sure I would draw the blinds down so you couldn't see in. But I'd always make it a point before I went to bed, usually around 3 o'clock in the morning, I would do what I would nickname the perimeter check. And I would check the front door, I check the back door, and I'd always make sure the angle was, you would have to be in a very specific way to see me. I could see you, but you couldn't see me. And I was always afraid one of these times something would be looking back at me. And I don't know, there's just something very unsettling about that one night I heard voices, because after that, I became like hyper vigilant. And maybe that's just youth playing tricks on me. I'm totally willing to own the fact that maybe it was an overactive imagination. I was watching a lot of X-Files at the time, and Art Bell, not exactly known for hard-hitting journalism when it comes to this particular topic. So willing to believe that maybe I just made it up, but still weird shit to say at the very least. Our next story is, well, I don't know how to explain this, so I'm just going to read it. So this one comes courtesy of NME.com. Madonna teams up with Grindr for exclusive vinyl of Confessions 2. Earlier this month, the Queen of Pop announced that her new album, Confessions 2, will be released on July 3rd, and the sequel to her seminal 2005 record, Confessions on a Dance Floor, and the album she has been teasing since early last year. She's since officially shared her new single, I Feel So Free, on major streaming platforms after the song was given its debut on LGBTQ plus radio station Pride Radio. Now she's unveiled her collaboration with Grindr, the social networking app for gay, bi, trans, and queer people. It comes following decades of allyship with LGBTQ plus people from Madonna, after the star famously having a large fan base with the community. As one of the few, quote, brand partners hand-selected by the OG mother, a press release announces Madonna is, quote, taking over the app to bring community into her world just in time for Pride season. For Grindr users, it means their profile grid will now always contain one square devoted to Madonna. When they click on a square, a message from the pop icon pops up herself. Hi, Grindr. It's Mothma. I almost said Mothma. That's what I thought, like, Mothra. Okay.
Mother.
I made an exclusive vinyl of my new album just for you, and I could have dropped it anywhere, but I wanted to go where the hottest action was. So I got on the grid. Are you ready for Confessions 2? The in-app experiences features exclusive content, location-aware movies that appear in the global gayborhood, and limited edition product drops, one of which is an exclusive picture disc of Confessions 2 handpicked by Madonna, available only for Grindr users. Grindr has teased it is, quote, just getting started with the artist takeover, which will extend further to its offerings on the app and in the brand socials. This is really smart, honestly.
Well, I think it was around 2004 when she had when she had her, like,
Renaissance,
I think it was her second career renaissance. Her first career renaissance was in 97, 98, when she had Ray of Light come out, which had Frozen and Ray of Light, and the what was the song, the Austin Powers song,
right?
I
know the one.
Beautiful Stranger.
Yeah.
She had 3 or 4 big hits on there, and then
she had the James Bond song, Die Another Day.
That was right. That was the album right after. So she had like 2 albums in a row that were big. That one, the one after that was Music or whatever, and it had like Ali G in the music videos, and that she had those 2, and then she sort of she fizzled out a little bit, and then she had this second sort of, or third comeback when she did the collaborations with like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, and then the renaissance that she had was she went back to being like Euro dance trance music mixed with like I think they used ABBA samples, and it was sort of like a throwback to her youth with that when she was already like 50, and now she's in her like late 60s, and some people were like, oh, she's trying too hard, she's doing this, where she's like trying to be too, she can be however she wants to be, you don't have to like it or not. This is a smart move, because in the last 20 years she sort of took over the Cher spot as being like the straight lady that makes music that the gay guys love.
Yeah, and I think putting product drops on Grindr is very smart. Part of me, like I said, as I'm touching my toes very tentatively into a different type of allyship. Like I've talked about on this show how I have bisexual tendencies where I'm kind of in that pansexual sphere. I think that's what it's called. And I think this is very good for that because it's a community that when Pride Month happens, there's a lot of merch, a lot of companies identify with it, and it's been over marketed, right? But
Yeah.
Madonna, from my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, as you mentioned, has always been a very strong ally. She makes music that appeals to that particular community. She's been very supportive vocally.
She also knows, like, she's not like, again, I'm not speaking for the community. I'm not part of the community, but I have a lot of friends in it and everything. She's not like Cyndi Lauper, who is in the community because she has family members in it. She's been like a big component and big proponent of, like, in the pride marches and parades and everything. She's a little more like Cher, where she was adopted as, we love her music and we're doing this, and then she knew that was who was really listening to her stuff in the last 20 years, and she leaned heavy, and she's like, all right, well, this is my audience, well, that's who I'm going for now.
Yeah, like
so she's all steam ahead. It wasn't like she intentionally always did that. She evolved slowly into doing this, and that's generally who's been buying her albums in the last, decade or two.
I mean, honestly, play to the audience who loves you. Why not, right? Like you're not going to recapture the teeny boppers you had in the 1980s and 90s, but
her 90s music, like early 90s music, was like overtly like almost sleazy sexual, which was interesting, but also she was 30.
Yeah, and like some of her radio friendly.
When you're closer to 70, you can still do that stuff. It's just, it's going to look a little hokey. It really is. So, but what is pretty timeless is is like the Euro dance music, like that. It works for a certain thing, and the kind of music she makes kind of just fits with Grindr. Like it's weird to say that. I know it sounds a little superficial, but she recognizes it, and more importantly, Grindr recognizes it. They're like, yeah, this is a great fit for us.
I mean, honestly, I'd like to know how many of these vinyls are going to be produced, how limited they're going to be. I'd like to know what the secondary market's going to look like on it.
My guess, when it says limited, because vinyl, it's not like CDs, it's probably going to be 100,000.
You really think that many?
Well, okay. Well, the vinyl, they'll probably produce 100,000, maybe two of the vinyls. Oh wait, these are limited vinyls. The limited edition picture product.
I'm thinking maybe less than 10,000.
It'll be probably a 10,000 run. When I was still using Spotify, at the end of the year, when I would get, if I was like a top listener for a different group or two, they would say, hey, or contact us, and it would pop up, and it usually said one of 10,000. And if they're following the same model as they did there at Spotify, probably somewhere between 5 and 10,000 copies of a limited picture one. And then if they run out, you'll probably be able to click a button, and it will take you to the mass media vinyl, which would be like 100 or 200,000 prints.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad they're waiting until July. Like, I think Record Store Day comes up in literally a couple of weeks.
It's usually the first. Isn't it like the first weekend in May, or is it that Comic Book Day? It's something around there.
That's Comic Book Day, but I think it's coming up fairly soon. And It's interesting because I've started, because one of the things you and I always buy you vinyl because I know you like music and I know you have a good sound set for it. I bought Blair her first vinyl this year. I bought her the K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack because local winners had it on for a really good price. And I was like, okay.
Man, they're starting to pop up at random places now again. Like
it's like weird.
It's like it's 1989 and we're at the Woolco or at the Stedman's that you're just randomly in there and it's like, this department store has a whole section of vinyl for some reason still. It's like that again.
I mean, it was weird when like Toys R Us was going out of business locally. They had a whole section of HMV vinyl, and that's where I bought your Kill Bill soundtrack and some other stuff there. And I was like, this is kind of cool. I'm glad to see this, being taken seriously. So again, I really hope these sell well. I hope for an exclusive drop, there's something interesting on it, maybe like a exclusive track, some good liner notes.
Don't be surprised if it is something that becomes popular. It won't just be her. There'll be certain artists that are like, I'm thinking like Chapel Roan, who like, don't be surprised if like for Pride Week, you'll see like a Pink Pony Club or whatever the newest single is, the popular one, that they'll do a 45 single, and the 45s they might do 100,000 because those are a lot smaller, easier to ship, and you might get like a Pride Day or Pride Week or Pride Month. There might be a special that they only advertise on.
Vinyl would look sick.
Well, because like even back in the day, like when like now record store day and special vinyls, they'll do, sometimes they're picture vinyls, sometimes they're color ones, but they would do things back in the day like I have a Blondie vinyl of Call Me, and it's completely see-through white, but it's that, but with like sparkles through it. It's that look of, you know, like the old, like the Game Boy Colors that were like crystal see-through.
Yeah.
It's that, but a vinyl record. It's like those things are cool. It doesn't even have to be a picture record. Just having cool, unique colors, and it can be something simple. It's like it could be literally like the regular single is when you go to buy the 45, because they still make them. Maybe it's, you know, it's the regular black color everywhere for $10. Hey, but or actually usually it's like $15 now for a single like that, and you know, because vinyl is more expensive. But maybe they'll do for the Pride Month or something, buy it on here and it's rainbow vinyl.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be cool. I mean, I don't know. I really hope she's successful.
So,
I love the idea of Grindr, mostly because it keeps coming up in my political news cycle. I'm not going to get into it, but let's just say when conventions are in town, pretend this.
I was going to say the classic is the joke, but it kind of has almost been proven most of the time. Whenever there's a staunchly conservative convention, Grindr crashes.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that would take an awful lot of coordination for it to be a joke. So I don't think it is.
Well, the fact that it tends to happen, like it's happened not just one, it's like a pattern.
Yeah.
And it's not like the whole app, it's just the app crashes in that local area because there's too many users using it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like,
it's funny.
Okay, buddy.
I mean, it's kind of like if you know there's a military situation going on, how do you know? Pizza. What am I talking about? I can't remember what the website's called, or maybe it's an app. But if you live in Washington, D.C., if you can track what's happening with pizza, you know what's happening because all the pizza goes to the Pentagon.
Basically, when they're going to have to be pulling 48-hour straights where they're just sleeping at their desks for an event. That's the same. I mean, that there, but also the traditional, like I don't have anybody in the military right now with my family, but I've had friends and people that have served. They said that they know something big's going to happen when they sit down and it's 2 meals in a row that are barbecue and lobster.
Yeah.
When they get, I was like, what? He goes, when in the same day we get 2 really good meals, it means that they're going to tell us something we don't want to hear the next day.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I always find it so fascinating that this is just.
But think about that. Pizza makes sense. They might, like, you know, the Pentagon, you might have to order pizza for 1,000 people, and it's going to be like 2 meals for the pizza. That could be like 600 pizzas that they order, right?
Yeah, like I'd be very curious to know what this looks like when it comes in, right? Just like, I wonder.
Well, when this record comes out, you know that's going to be popular. But again, I put it in the weird news because I think it's weird because you know what this also made me think of?
What?
This is a much better version of when Apple decided they were going to send everybody the stupid U2 album they didn't want and force it on their accounts. Yeah.
Like, I remember I had to like, how the hell do I get this off my phone? I was just so friggin' irritated.
I panicked. I thought that somebody purchased it with my credit card because they didn't. It just showed up, and I'm like, I didn't pay for this. And they're like, it's free. And people were like, I don't want it. They're like, well, you have to have it. It's like, I don't want it. And that became a big issue because it was like an invasion of your rights, because it's like, my account is my account. I choose what to purchase. They could have, and after that, whenever a free album came out, you remember what happened? It would be, hey, this is free. Click here to redeem.
Yeah.
But the way it worked is Apple had paid them because they did an algorithm thing that they were like the most popular rock group at the time. And part of the deal, I guess, to count it as record sales was they were going to force it upon every single iPod and iPhone user. And it was like, it was like market manipulation. So
That's like some like rapper type beef bullshit.
yeah,
That's ridiculous.
and here's the worst part is you two didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't their fault.
Yeah, they just kind of like, all right, fine.
And the album wasn't terrible, but it was like right at the wrong time of like when people were already arguing about digital rights.
Yeah, exactly. It was great album, shitty timing. So
Yeah.
our final story this week, I actually just watched someone, and I indirectly know someone who was affected by this. So, excuse me. Police arrest a man who replaced $34,000 worth of Lego pieces with pasta. Police in California have arrested a man for grand theft though the bounty isn't a fancy car or pricey electronics. It's Lego pieces. In a pun-heavy release, the Irving Police Department said that $34,000 worth of Lego pieces were stolen from boxes from Targets across the U.S. and in some cases replaced with dried pasta. Quote, "You read that correctly," said the Irving Police Department in an Instagram post. "We're talking about the Durham wheat semola pasta and what we're calling a positively terrible plan." Target reported at least 70 thefts nationwide that were traced back to the same suspect. Quote, but like with most bad builds, this one didn't hold together, the IPD wrote. IPD detectives snapped into action, conducted surveillance, and identified the suspect. Jarrell Augustine, 28, of Paramount, California, was arrested for grand theft and taken into custody at the Orange County Jail. In an Instagram reel from the IPD's page, video shows a suspect pulling boxes of Lego from a shelf, along with images from his arrest and boxes of Lego with pasta in them. Quote, "Everything was awesome in this Lego crime spree until we got involved," they wrote, referencing Everything is Awesome from the 2014. God, hard to believe that's 10 years old. From the Lego Movie, a play on the Tegan and Sarah song. The police had a stern warning for anyone looking to put together the pieces for a similar stunt. "If your master plan involves swapping Lego for linguine, we can promise you your plan will be cooked al dente," they wrote. Now, it's funny. So what this was happening is there were, in some instances, this guy was able to replace the packages with, so you'd go in there, you'd steal the minifigs, because those are the ones that have the highest resale value.
Oh, okay.
And you place them with pasta. Now, the reason why that is, it sounds remarkably similar. Yes, and wait, it sounds really close, and it weighs about the same. So what this guy did is, you'd send this back to Amazon or Target or wherever.
Oh, you'd like reseal it up as quick as close as you could.
Yeah. So there was a guy that I watched. Sometimes we get some stories from this guy on Internet Today. Elliot. He had went to a Home Hardware and he purchased a Milwaukee tool. And this Milwaukee tool was factory sealed, right? It had all the plastic on it and everything. Opened it up, expected to find, I don't know, like an impact driver or something. Instead, it was a box of junk. Now, it's funny because I see crimes like this in the Transformers community all the fucking time. And I see it locally now. Yeah, it's weird. People will do something called figure swapping. So, for example, I'm going to make this really, really easy for you. So I buy Starscream, for example.
Yeah.
I buy Starscream 2026. It's an awesome figure. Fucking cool. I have a shitty Starscream from 2014. It's complete, but it's not worth anything. So what I do is I go to my big box store of choice, buy the figure I want. So Starscream 2026, cool. Yank him out of the package, carefully clip him out. Put the shitty figure from 2014 back in the box, take it back to the
Even
big
if
box.
it doesn't look the same?
Yep, because would you, as the stock boy, give a shit? No, you're not paid enough to care. So
also, I keep forgetting that if this was the 90s, Transformers was still in the minds of everybody working.
Yeah, so people do it and they'll just replace it with a random figure. I've seen people do this with Marvel Legends. I see this all the time with Star Wars figures. The weird thing is that people would steal the heads off of Transformers. Don't know why. Some people would do it for customization. Other people, presumably to be dicks. But
to me, that just seems like such a weird thing to be doing.
It's a lot of effort for a little return. But with this guy who did all the pasta thing, like I said, $34,000, he was, so for example, if I went out and got the Lego Ghostbuster Firehouse. That's a set that's worth probably about $300 to $400. I'm just taking the important pieces. I'm taking the minifigs. I'm taking anything Ghostbusters appropriate, or more likely, if I can steal stuff that's Star Wars or Marvel, I'm going to take all the minifigs and all the branded pieces that people want to do customization. I'm going to take them, replace the baggies with plastic, which is what this guy was doing, send it back to the store, say, oh, shit happened. And again, you can see this at big box retailers. You can see this on Amazon. I hang out on the Transformers subreddit quite a bit, and you'll just see people who are like, I ordered this Megatron, and instead I got a box of junk or something. It happens way more often, and it sucks to see people taking crimes like this and putting it on the fun hobbies. Like you and I, we didn't do a show that particular week, but there was a major story on CTV recently, which is one of our Canadian outlets up here in Canada. And they were talking about how there's this huge Pokemon fraud ring. You and I talked about taco packets about a month ago with someone who was replacing Pokemon cards with like taco packs. And now, particularly in our region, card theft got so bad, you now have to get someone from electronics or whatever department's close to you to pull the cards out of the case. They have to escort you over to a thing.
Like the razor blades and Oxycontin.
Yeah, it is really weird. Like, I just want a pack of Ninja Turtles or whatever, or Magic or Pokemon or Lorcana or whatever. It's insane. And I remember this was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, before they started implementing a lot of these security changes. I would see kids and I would report it to the store like, hey, man, you just had a couple $100 worth of Pokemon walk out the door. And they're like, I don't care. I'm like, okay. I mean, you're not paid enough to give a shit, first off. If you're working for minimum wage, who cares if the Waltons get ripped off? But it's like, it sucks because, you know, some people buy these Lego pieces. This is their hobby. This is something that makes them feel happy. And instead you're getting a box of pass that probably isn't very good. And then
you have to deal with the store not believing you.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to bring this to. Like, if it's something factory sealed, oh, you're telling me you bought this, it was $500 and there's a bag of pasta. Sure, kid, whatever.
I remember there was issues like this, not with Magic cards. Was it Pokemon cards?
Oh, yeah.
In the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the stores started implementing a policy that it was weird. Like, I know some of the mom and pop shops are doing it. If you bought the cards, they forced you to open them in front of them.
I've never heard of that.
Because so many people kept trying to return things saying that there were problems with it, or, you know, like we're supposed to be 7 cards or whatever in here and there's only 4. Things like that they would start doing that. They would open it similar to when people would try to pull the scam when I worked at Feature Shop. I guess they don't exist anymore, but people would buy a game, and remember how games, you couldn't return games. And I mean, you can argue, you know, consumer protection, you know, if a game doesn't work, you can return it. They would argue that a game didn't work, but the reality is they take the game home, play the game for a weekend, and then want to return it instead of paying for a rental at Blockbuster and try to get all their money back. Mm-hmm. And then the store's policy, like they would bring it back with a scratch on it or scratch or two and say, I couldn't play it because the disc was scratched. And then they would try to get their money back, or they would return it, get a new one, replacement, you know, it would be sealed, and then they would go to another store and try to return it there to get, like, you know, they were doing like profiteering back and forth, like take it to Costco, where Costco will take anything without a receipt back then, right? And then just give you store credit. And they would do that to like try to make money. Well, the store policy became that if we gave you a replacement, we would open the disc and check the disc there before we gave it to you. As a replacement.
Yeah, it's we live in a very messed up world of consumer deliverables, we shall say. But anyway,
it's a sad side of things like that. That's how petty you get to try to make your $10.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, and resellers are gross, and I sometimes being a nerd is not fun.
It's
'cause people
at that point, isn't it? At that point, wouldn't it just be better to become a true counterfeiter? Like, if you're going to put that kind of effort in, why don't you just 3D print new ones?
Yeah, although 3D prints aren't always. I could get into this.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, if you
but yeah.
no, but like instead of like returning pasta, like I'm saying, couldn't you just make a 3D printed shitty version, put it back in the box, and return it, and pretend that you just never used it, and then if somebody buys it, maybe they get lucky and they don't realize that it's fake.
Yeah, it mostly comes a lot of 3D printed because I deal with a lot of this stuff. It mostly comes down to texture and sanding, but yeah. So anyway, guys, we're going to take our final break here on the show. We're going to hear a review from me as I take a look at a toy that was originally released in 1984, but has now been revisited with modern engineering to a level I never quite thought possible. We're going to take a look at something that comes from Hasbro and Takara. This is one of the missing link figures. This is Optimus Prime. We'll be back, guys, right after this, only on thisweekingeek.net. Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here. I'm here once again to talk to you about something I got for review from our friends over at Hasbro. This is the Transformers Masterpiece Missing Link C-01 Optimus Prime with trailer. This is the Takara Tomy reissues of classic G1 toys with modern engineering. And obviously this is a big figure. This is Optimus Prime. This is the leader of the Autobots. This is the toy you could have purchased back in 1984, complete with his trailer, complete with roller, his like auto defense drone thingy, everything you could possibly want, right down to the die cast and the rub sign and rubber tires. This is seriously impressive. Like, when I was a kid, I never had a proper Optimus Prime. I had to rely on the inner robot from Ultra Magnus. It wasn't until many years later I was able to acquire a G1 Optimus Prime. And unfortunately, I had to sell that Optimus Prime a number of years ago to help purchase a wheelchair. So when I was sent this for review, this was a sort of like, this is nostalgia, but also a very much welcome back, I think would be a good way to describe this. So let me get into this. So this is almost the exact same toy you had 40 something years ago, except it now has yellow eyes, pretty cool detail, removable matrix chamber. So if you want to put in some of those Diaclone guys, you could. I don't. The fists are built in now, so that's cool. A lot of painted detail. Even the trailer, it's not stickers anymore, like with those like kind of details they have on there. That's like, I don't know, there's some word for it, but it's like stamped on, I think now. The only thing that is different really is that roller doesn't launch anymore. Like, there was the ability to plug him into the bottom of the defense drone and launch him forward. Yeah, that's not there anymore. However, though, what you can do is if you want to take the drone and put it through the top of the trailer to technically create like a battle station mode, you could do that. I don't, because that's tall, and it's pretty kick-ass. Just the fact that when you really think back, 40 years have passed, and we've had 40 years of engineering, we've had 40 years of things to change, and this is a nice way, I think, of saying thank you. This displays so well. Now, there was another version of this toy that had the animated deco, where like some of its details were not as nice, I'd say. Like, I think one of the big details is the tail lights weren't painted and the eyes were blue, I want to say, which is accurate to the show, but this one I like quite a bit, actually. Again, just having modern posability, having his matrix chamber, having all the little doodads. If you want to read his little tech specs with the little red thing, whatever that is, it's there too. Rubber tires, die-cast metal, it's a lost art. This thing is seriously impressive. And if you only had to buy one toy that recaptures the essence of your youth, I don't think it's unfair to say that picking this up is really worth it, especially if you don't want anything like the bigger Masterpiece Primes, which I've taken a look at. I took a look at God Jinrai last year and his companion piece, God Bomber. That's great if you're really into that sort of thing. But the Missing Link stuff, that's more stuff that we got over here. Like there's Missing Link Cliff Jumper, there's Missing Link Bumblebee. I took a look at Missing Link Sunstreaker last year for Holiday Gift Guide. I was a big fan of. And I'm really hoping to continue this. I know there's a Missing Link Grimlock that's going to be coming out at some point. I did try to request the Missing Link Ultra Magnus. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get that. But those would be some of my prime picks, if you pardon the pun. Ultimately, I really think Hasbro and Takara Tomy have done an absolutely outstanding job with this. I'm hoping to see more Missing Link figures in the future. A Missing Link Soundwave would be great. Missing Link Blaster. If I had one wish, Missing Link Prowl and Jazz would probably be pretty high up there on my thing. Or maybe Missing Link Starscream and the rest of the Seekers. I think it'd be cool. I'm not saying Megatron because I don't even really need to get into it, but you get why. Yeah, I think this is wonderful. Now, this is going to run you about $120 US. Is it worth it? I believe so. You're getting fantastic value because you're getting a lot of play features in the trailer, which I think is great. It opens up just like it did when you're a kid. The ramp is really nicely attached. It can be used as a medical bay, a battle station, or just how Optimus Prime gets from one place to another. And again, just the modern engineering and posability on the figure. So when he's wielding his ion blaster, blasting, you've got the touch as he fights Megatron for Autobot City. It really does spark joy. Like, I think this is one of the best figures I've reviewed in quite some time. And this really brought a genuine smile to my face. This reminded me a lot of being a kid back in 1984. And it's really nice to have this back in my collection. I'm really thankful for Hasbro for sending this over. And yeah, so hopefully you will enjoy the Missing Link Optimus Prime C1 with trailer. Totally worth adding to your collection.
Those magnificent bastards! Color me kooky, but something very odd is going on around here.
You're not allowed to talk anymore.
And that's the kind of show it has been here on This Week in Geek.net. Again, big thank you for joining us this week. We had a lot of exciting programming coming up in the next little bit. I know this last weekend you heard Dave, Ken, and Adam talk about the Aliens prequel. I was going to join them, but face huggers, what are you going to do? What else we got coming? I know you and I are going to record the show early this week, so people can hear that over the course of the weekend. Me and Damien are recording a couple of new spell books this weekend, and I can tell you what our next couple of topics are going to be. We are going to be talking about horror tropes, which I think is going to be a lot of fun, making your own homebrew, specifically how you do balances, what are some of the best practices, and then setting tone in person versus online. These are some of the ideas we're going to be talking about on the Spellbook. You can hear that Wednesdays right here on thisweekingeek.net, but also if you happen to be local or if you want to listen online, you can go to cfru.ca and listen Wednesdays at noon Eastern Standard Time if you want to hear the show broadcast on Guelph's Community Radio, 250 watts of power. You can do that. I know I'm working on my impressions of Pragmata right now. I'm also working through Mouse PI. You should have a review for that this coming week. I'm also going to record a 4K review from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. I'll be talking about the movie Sleepers, which I'll just say this. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Trying to think of what else we got kind of going. Oh, me and Aaron are going to be recording a Avatar special. You should be hearing in the next little bit.
And depending on when I edit, it's either very soon or in the near distant future, we have a Future Imperfect that we did on Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. You should hear that fairly quickly, and then Avatar, and then me, Aaron, and Alex are getting together at some point to record some stuff for the summertime. I know Alex and Aaron have some stuff that's been gestating for a while, but you'll hear that in the next couple of weeks.
Earth versus Soup this week is the Batman 66 movie.
Ooh, that's going to be exciting. If we're doing anything for Free Comic Book Day, probably not, just because it's a little bit close. I'll probably talk about it on the show.
Tight schedules with everybody involved right now.
Yeah, like I leave on Sunday and I have to record on Saturday, and I have meetings all that day, so it never stops. But that's okay. Neither do I. So anyway, guys, thank you for joining us this last week. So I guess for This Week in Geek, we have been
Alex, the producer.
I've been Mike the Birdman, saying in these troubling times, the best thing you can do is be excellent to each other. We'll catch you guys again next time, right here on thisweekingeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
Lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.